Welcome to Business Talk, presented in collaboration with the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, from the heart of southeastern Ohio at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Our goals are simple: promote the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, as well as advocate local small business and their support organizations. More importantly, promote southeastern Ohio as a wonderful place to live, explore, and learn. There are many different ways you can find us. The University of Rio Grande Cable Access Channel 17, live online at blogtalkradio.com, and on YouTube if you are unable to catch our show live. Introducing our co-hosts, Jason Winters, Mike Thompson, Patrick Dengel. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to our show, Business Talk. We have some really good guests today on Business Talk. But before we get into them, let me tell you a little bit about what I believe in work history. I remember that my father, in that particular generation, had one job and worked that job until he retired. And I found that in his particular generation, that was more often true than not. You just did not leave a really good paying job. In my generation, we have been told that we will probably change our vocation 4 different times throughout our working career. As far as I'm concerned, in looking at my children and their children, they're sort of brought up with the belief that it's okay to switch jobs, switch vocations every 3, 4, 5 years. And really, are they switching vocations, or are they just moving in sort of a haphazard way to an ultimate goal of working at many different jobs that they love? Well, we have 2 experienced individuals that have worked in the educational field, who have seen many years to where the vocations have changed, and the directions and the vocational goals of the students have also changed. And they have a business idea, they have a business direction that they are going that will assist individuals in today's generation in making more appropriate vocational choices. So it's my great pleasure to present Dennis DeCamp. Dennis is a retired teacher, retired principal, superintendent at one of the local schools. And then we have Paul Bauer. He also has had many years teaching experience, not only in the high school area, the junior high, but he's also been very actively involved with University of Rio Grande at one time. And so he's had a lot of experience as a principal in administration and on the teaching. So it's my pleasure again to present Dennis and Paul. So welcome.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Before we begin, maybe we can start with you, Dennis. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Went to college after my father passed away. Wanted to be a teacher. Never told anybody. I went to a different direction for the first couple of years, but then I just caved into what I really wanted to be, the passion to be a teacher, to make an impact in people's lives, and that's what I did. I taught for 14 years, junior high. I loved it. It made me feel good when people said, I can't stand junior high kids. I loved it because I felt like I was a junior high kid at heart. And my wife always says that she married to a giant 7th grader, so I could relate to those kids.
All wives truly believe
yes,
that.
They do. And so did that. I was asked to become principal of school, which I was a teacher in, and then I became later on the superintendent of a school, and finished out my career as superintendent 5 years at a local school district. So it's been an interesting career, and I think that's part of what we're doing. What Paul and I want to do is just continue to give back to kids and to parents and try to help them keep from making mistakes that so many kids we see at this time are going down career paths that they're not really a clear and concise path. So we're trying to help them focus on what their future may be and what they'll need to get to there.
So you've pretty much, in your working career, been involved in Southern Ohio.
Yep. Yep,
in
Paul's been Southern
Lawrence
Ohio.
County.
Unlike Paul. Unlike Paul.
So he's one of those world
Paul's a traveler.
travelers.
We'll just talk about that coming up
Yeah.
today.
Well, Paul, tell us about yourself.
Okay, graduated from Ohio University with a degree in education and taught for a couple years in the Portsmouth area, and left and went north near the lake and taught for a year and began my administrative career when I was in my, I guess, middle 20s. And from then on, I spent my time as an administrator and or working in curriculum. I worked here in the Rio Grande area for a 3 or 4 year period of time and taught here at Rio Grande in Anniversary Hall, taught an Ed 101 class for 3 years. So I have some experience here. I spent about 20 years in the Cincinnati area. So as Dennis said, I've been from the top of the state to the bottom of the state, so to speak. But you know, education is education regardless of whether you're in Southern Ohio or whether you are in the big city like Cincinnati. And education should be centered around the students that you're dealing with. But in today's times of accountability, it seems that education's more centered around other things than
Well,
the student.
that is true. But the one thing about both of you that you have indicated is that you don't come from just one school system.
Right.
Because in this just in our little area, our regional area, there are maybe 50 or 60 different school systems, and there are some individuals from death or from birth to death, they've lived in one, but you
Right.
have seen
Right.
many different school
Yep.
systems. So, and you got together and you started to develop a business because you saw a need.
Yep.
And so let's talk a little bit about your business, what you're hoping to do.
I think, you know, what concerned myself, and then I got with Paul, I needed somebody to keep me accountable and keep us moving the direction we want to go. But what we saw was a lot of, and we read about it in our country and we see it in our area, we see a lot of kids who are going off to college with no specific direction. And what that happens is they incur a tremendous amount of debt, and if they never finish that degree, they're still trying to find a job that can help pay that college debt
That is
back.
true.
Our
That is
country
true what
right
you're
now
saying.
is $1.2 trillion is
Yes.
the debt in our country.
Just in
Student
Sallie
loans.
Mail, yes.
And
yes.
that's the second highest debt in our country, more than mortgages, more than credit card. So therefore, there has to be a direction. We have to start giving some young people and their parents about how to maximize the dollars being spent. And we also looked at multiple, we call this pathways, because there's just not one pathway to be successful. Some people it's going to be college. Some people it may be the workers' union hall or pipe fitter or electrician or HVAC. Some people it may be various different ways they can get to the direction they want to go. But the bottom line is trying to find something they enjoy doing and what they're happy doing and how they can support themselves and their family one day.
Well, we were talking at lunchtime how even the school systems have changed. There's more opportunities to look at many different careers, whereas in my time period there weren't as many. We had one individual discuss the fact that even though there were 44,000 different vocations we could do, many times kids only know about 4 or 5.
Yep. So we're a far more transient population now. It used to be, like you say, you're born in a certain county, you worked in that county, and you died in that county. And now, because of the modes of transportation, because of different opportunities that kids may face and see and have out there, and the communication through the internet and multiple sources, they go after different positions. And that's what we want them to do, is just to explore the other opportunities that are out there here in our country, here in this area, here in this internationally now, with the number of jobs that are available overseas through different firms, that they can just explore different things that may make them try to open their eyes to different opportunities that will help them to be successful, but more than that, just have more of a direct path in getting to what they want to be in their career.
Don't you think, and maybe this is a question for you, Paul, because you have seen the large and the small universities, but don't you think there's a feeling that the school system should be the one that leads and guides and directs the student, and if they don't get the optimum kind of job, it's the school's fault? Don't you feel that that's a sort of a prevailing feeling amongst many individuals, that everything is being put on the school, the teachers, and the administration?
Yes. I think that you look at public schools, and we're serving breakfast.
Yeah.
Where parents used to do that. We provide a latchkey service where parents, kids used to go home at the end of the school day, that type thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So, so many things are thrust upon the schools. And I think with the guidance counselor at the high school level, a lot of the parents expect he or she to take their child and guide them into a particular vocation or an area of college and that type thing.
Almost be a prophet, a prophetic seer, that they can, after a 2-hour test, can say, oh, this person's going to be. Yeah.
Exactly. When in reality, there are, as Dennis said, so many paths that you can approach. There are so many things. Anything and everything is possible today, and students need to be introduced to those career opportunities, but they also need to be introduced to the idea that they have to be the best academic student that they can be while they're there at high school. And that's another thing we plan to do, is to offer some help with learning styles and study skills and this type of thing.
Excellent.
To make them a better student.
And so out of that, Dennis, I'm not sure whose idea it was. I know that you have been very good friends with each other, but you've been sort of the catalyst behind a different approach, or a new approach, or a more focused approach.
A different approach is very well put. I never saw things the way most people in education saw things. I saw things that should have been done, things that should have been done for kids. And this opportunity, we have a chance to focus solely on the kids and just look at different low-cost pathways that we can get kids to certificates or degrees or whatever. And there's many, many opportunities out there. Paul and I were sharing an article there by John Kerry talking about the traditional college student going away to college for 4 years, getting a degree, paying all their on-campus expenses, and that is changing now. It's developing, it's evolving, and I think that a lot of our parents, especially in southeastern Ohio, don't understand or don't realize all the different options there are out there. You get the College Plus. The College Credit Plus is something I'd like to talk about sometime this half hour, but it's out there for parents and kids to utilize. And the College Credit Plus program that the legislature has implemented here in Ohio is a tremendous program. Kids can walk out of their high schools without even leaving their high schools with 30-plus credit hours. And I think that's a tremendous opportunity for those kids to get that. And if they don't have that opportunity in their school, they're missing out. And there's some schools, I know one school, Bloom Vernon, is that you can walk out of their school with 34 credit hours without leaving Bloom Vernon's hallowed halls. And if you can do that, that's 1 year of college. That you don't have to worry about. And I've seen kids who have benefited tremendously through the dual credit classes, through the AP classes. They get a high enough score in and things like that. But the dual credit classes, to me, are an opportunity for kids to really capitalize if their schools will take that seriously and allow that to take place in the school district. And that's just going to save them money down the road. And that's what it's about. I mean, the catalyst is student success. But the thing is trying to save money while attaining that success or that degree or that certificate or whatever it may be, and exploring different options for them.
I know that you're out there to save money, but there's also several different areas, missions and values and things that you want to accomplish. And one of them is to sit down with the student and not only not waste money, but also to direct them into a vocation that they may be best suited for or better suited for.
Right.
Rather than what other people are telling. Am I on the right track?
I think the number one question we would ask parents, and especially the student, would be, what do you want to do in life? Do you want to work with people? Do you want to work with your hands? Do you want to just maintain a living that you can keep your family with a roof, with clothes, with food, and things like that? What do you want to do in life? Because some people are people, and they are wanting to work with people through their career. And I think that's great, because you can invest in others like Paul and I have done through our career. But I think some people would rather work with their hands. They go to a job at 7 o'clock in the morning, get done at 4 o'clock. They go home and they have hobbies and activities that they want to do themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I think that's one thing we want to do through by the personal interest surveys. You know, what do you want to be? Are you a people person? Do you want to be around people? Or some people would like to just shut people completely out, and some people do. But we need to find that out. I don't think kids realize that till they're 1, 2, 3 years out of high school. And some people go through life and they never really comprehend what makes them happy, and they find that out, and just try to find a self-direction for them and kind of coax them that direction.
Right. So let's suppose, in my own viewpoint, the best possible jobs that I could get, it would be a fireman, a policeman. What are the other two? Airplane pilot, and there's another one out there. But through the testing that you have, it sort of opens up other avenues or doors that I may not have thought about.
Right. 20% of the students who start college, if they graduate, and there's a lot less than 100% that graduate from college, there are 20% of those kids that start never end up in the same field they started
That's true.
in. So there's, again, getting back to Dennis's comment about the cost of college. The cost of college becomes greater because parents are paying for Johnny or Betty or whoever it is to start in one major field, and then they decide they're not suited for that field, and then they have to transfer to another. So by the time they get to the end of college, they've been through 3 or 4 different colleges.
That is true.
And
or
the debt
it's taken
mounts
them
up.
5 years or 6 years, and it's rather interesting. I have seen more often than not here at the University of Rio Grande or Ohio State University, all those other colleges, but many times they indicate that there are a 4-year degree, which really in reality takes you 5 years.
Right.
And that can
Right.
be very expensive.
Right.
Likewise.
Right. And then a lot of people never finish college, but they finish with a gigantic debt.
Yes.
And so, as Dennis stated earlier, you know, it's impossible to purchase a home or buy a car or those kind of things because they're still paying for years and years on that
Sure.
college debt.
Do you know that they have one student loan that they amortize over 40 years? And so just like purchasing a home, so if you have a $20,000 loan, it's amortized over 40 years. Well, you continually pay that interest. Now, the interesting thing is, because it's a government-backed loan, if you want to pay that off, you've got to pay not only that $20,000, but also
Sure.
all of the interest.
Yep.
Exactly.
And so you are absolutely right about being strapped.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I think one thing we want to do is identify the talents that the students have and what their passion desires would be. Identify a career cluster that they have, research options they may want, research schools and majors and job opportunities and careers that show growth in the next 10 years, because you can go get a 4-year degree. It doesn't mean you're going to go get a job, because there's no jobs
That's
out
true.
there.
That's true.
You know, so you want to coach them in that direction. And, you know, people say, I mean, we keep talking about saving money and things like that. And I mean, with our services comes a fee.
Sure.
And you say, well, you're going to cost us more money. But the thing is, our point is, if we could, let's say that we charge you over a 4-year period of time, $4,000 or 4-year period of time, but if we save you $40,000,
Sure.
I think that's a tremendous return on investment, and that's what it's all about. And colleges do whatever they can to maintain student enrollment. Therefore, it's difficult sometimes to flunk out of college. They bring you success help in, tutors and things like that to keep you going. But you know, we want to stay focused on our child's future. And I think by investing a little bit of money here, it's like a roof. You can sit there and not put a roof on your home that may cost $10,000. But if you don't put that roof on your home and you make that investment, then you're going to lose a lot of things on the inside by water damage and things of that nature. We're trying to pay a little bit up front and then hopefully save that down the road and try to talk to this child and the parent. And it's difficult also for sometimes kids to talk to their parents about what they want to do, and they best be fit to talk to a third party.
Sure.
And one thing, Paul and I, we've worked together long enough. If we didn't want to do this, if we didn't care about kids, we wouldn't be doing it. So therefore, it's very important for us to them to understand that we want to build a relationship. We care and we're sincere about their future. And you know, we're not going to take on a ton of clients. And if we have to, then we'll bring in people like-minded who care about kids and their success.
Good.
And those are interesting, I think, good things in our mission that we want to accomplish with our kids. And people say, well, nobody will want to do that in this area. But you know what? I don't care where the area you are, people want to save money.
Yeah,
and if
that's
they
true.
can save money and go into college and stuff like that. And like I talked about, so many different, we talked about the College Credit Plus and the different means clapping out of courses and things like that. There's opportunities for kids to get a degree at a lower rate than what some kids are paying right now.
You know, one of the things I think is also very important, you hear a lot about individuals graduating high school students getting a lot of different scholarships that are available. One of the things that we found with our children is that the scholarship monies are available the freshman and sophomore years, but they tend to dry up the junior and the senior year. And of course, if you go for 5 years, rarely will you find anything. So
I can speak to that. I know that we are looking at different organizations that sponsor students and scholarships, and what they are doing is they are seeing, and we know Paul alluded to it earlier, about the kids who drop out of college because they have no direction, they have no commitment to what they're doing, they're not academically prepared. But what we're seeing now is, we were talking to one organization that gives away millions of scholarships, and they're starting to focus their scholarship dollars on juniors and seniors.
They should.
They are not focused on the freshmen, what we always have done in the past to get kids to go to college.
That's right.
Because what they're seeing is these kids, they're putting $5,000-$10,000 into these kids, and then they're there for a half a year, they drop out, and they have no return on that investment.
That's right.
Somebody's giving money for these kids to go to college, and they're not utilizing it properly.
Right.
So what they are doing is now focusing on these kids who are juniors and seniors, because if you've made that commitment to be a junior or senior in college, they know you're probably going to see it through.
I think that is
so. Therefore, they are being wise stewards of their dollars, and that's what's very important to see those kids, because we have a lot of kids who start, but they never finish.
That is true.
And the most expensive college degree is one that's never completed, and it's like Paul talked about before. They incur this debt, and they can't get it finished because they don't have the direction. We want to build that direction in their lives, explore who they are, what they want to be, and make them realistic about that. You know, if you've got a C average on your junior year of college and you want to be a neurosurgeon, it's probably going to be difficult at that point in time unless you change significantly the way your study habits that Paul talked about earlier. But it's a difficult process, but we want to help people work their way through that process and help them and guide them and coach them to what would be a better opportunity for them.
Good. Now, again, to the listening audience, we're talking with Dennis DeCamp and Paul Bauer. They are new entrepreneurs. Actually, they're filled with a lot of experience in the educational field, whether it be superintendent all the way down to teachers to all different kinds of jobs in between. The company's name, the business name, is PACS, and it's Pathways to Academic and Career Success. And I think on the screen here we have where they can get in touch with you. You also don't mind people calling you, do you?
Nope. That's what the cell phone's there for.
And they can call you late at night.
Yeah, on the email there, that's all lowercase, packsuccess1@gmail.com.
Okay. Good.
But it's a viable thing, and I just want one more thing about
Sure.
going to college. when we went to college, you paid for a meal plan that, and this is how parents don't understand it, you pay for a meal plan and you ate all you want, morning or breakfast or lunch, whatever it may be, whatever meal plan you decided. Now, it's just like a food court. And if kids don't understand, and parents don't understand how those swipes work, you know, those are things that we can inform my
Sure.
son and daughter.
And that's
Nathan,
very
Natalie,
important.
are both in college, so we're encouraging that opportunity right now to learn different colleges, how meal plans work and things like that. So I think that's a way parents can be saving money too.
Well, there's parents need to speak with you as well as the children, because I think you have a very important service.
Well,
that
just one more thing, we offer free consultation, and we can do that, and to see if that's will identify with parents and students, like you said, Patrick.
Okay, well, very good. I really appreciate you coming by and stopping by and talking about its pathways to academic and career success. And again, if I can get Mike to show information on there, please, by all means, contact Dennis or Paul and talk further. You don't charge if they just want to ask questions.
No, that's how it all gets started that way. So.
Very good, very good. So I want to thank you very much. I hope that you can come back on to our broadcast and maybe talk a little bit further about some of the things that you have found. You know, I really thank you very much for coming. Next time you come on, we'll have to get those 5 amusing stories that you have.
Patrick, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Education is very, very important to all of us, to the parents, to the grandparents, and I really recommend that if you get a chance to talk with them, even if you don't use their services, please do talk, because they're filled with a lot of experience and understanding. Our 2 o'clock show, we have Sam Brady. Sam Brady is a Associate Director of the Jackson County Economic Development Board here in Jackson County, and he's going to be talking about some of the economic development programs that are in our region, just not in Jackson County. And then at 3 o'clock, we have the Voice of Rio Grande with our 2 deans, Dr. Lawrence and Dr. Mitchell. And they're going to be presenting 2 individuals that have a lot of background in faculty and education. I want to thank you for listening. I'm Patrick.
I'm Dennis DeCamp.
Paul Bauer.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.